Hi, I'm Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of RegAlytics, with your update on this week's 27,483 regulatory alerts. Given that this is my 297th episode, I do try every once in a while to cheat. Our company has been testing GPT since 2021 when it sucked, so AI is just a part of our DNA and we use it regularly to cheat. And I mean that quite seriously. We're constantly pushing the limits of what it is able to do. And for those of you who are maybe just dabbling in AI, you need to understand how it works because it only mimics what it has already seen. So for example, there's this great video where a guy tries over and over to instruct an AI image generator to make a picture of a wine glass that is full to the brim. And it literally cannot do it because there exists no pictures on the internet of a wine glass full to the brim. I'm sure there are now after his video, but the truth is AI simply calculates the likelihood that a certain word or image is going to be next to the other. It doesn't actually understand the content, and that's what's so fascinating and amazing about how it works. So this week, again, I tried to cheat. I tried it with Copilot and with our own AI tool. I told him to go to my YouTube channel, watch the last 296 episodes of my show, and write a script for me this week that mimics the format, but then talks about the big, beautiful bill. And the results are, well, not good. I'm just going to do it myself. So you are stuck with me another week where you get human being Mary telling you what's going on in regulation. So here we go. The regulator of the week is the U.S. House of Representatives, and the topic of the week is H.R. 1. One big, beautiful bill. That's what it's called. I'm not sure about the beauty, but I am sure about the big part because this sucker is 1,118 pages long. At the moment I'm filming, this bill has passed the House, but not yet the Senate. And what does that mean? That means you still have time. And you, yes, you, will be personally impacted by this bill. So if there is something you don't like, I suggest you make your voice heard by your local regulators. So I talked about one of the big Easter eggs in the bill last week. This is where the 50 states of the U.S. cannot pass rules or enforce anything having to do with artificial intelligence. And there is no proposed federal agency, guidelines, or anything. Just total silence on AI. There is another big sucker in here. The PCAOB is basically now just the SEC. For all auditors and accountants, this is pretty big news. The Public Company Accounting Oversight Board is sort of the king and ruler of accountants. So yeah, that's a big change. It also looks like Congress is weighing in on pharmacy benefit managers, which is a big insurance thing. So specifically, beginning in 2028, PBMs may not receive any income other than flat bona fide service fees. And I will note this was not picked up in Copilot when I specifically asked if there was any part impacting PBMs. It said no, which is totally not true. So it's a good thing I took my human being eyes and looked at the actual text. Other things that are useful to know, more on the personal side. So if you or anyone in your family is in the restaurant industry, there are no taxes on tips or overtime. This is great for hourly restaurant workers. And it's also great, honestly, for restaurant owners. But it is revenue that doesn't go to the U.S. government and increases our deficit. The bill also raises the SALT deduction cap. This is great for me because I live in New Jersey and we have a very high state tax rate. And it is pretty annoying the last few years because the federal government assesses all of our income and doesn't account for the fact that a large portion of our income is gone because it goes to New Jersey. So that SALT deduction is helpful for any of us in states with high tax rates. To my family in Washington who don't have an income tax, it really doesn't impact you at all, except, again, it's money that is no longer going to the government and increasing our deficit. So then the part about Medicaid. So for background, there's Medicaid and there's Medicare. Medicare is primarily for individuals 65 and older and certain younger people with disabilities or end-stage renal disease, while Medicaid is a joint federal-state program that provides health care coverage for low-income individuals and families. So you understand the difference. So the rule for low-income people is that they have to work. They have to have a job to get Medicaid. Where this may impact you is that sometimes seniors have Medicare for health, but they use Medicaid to cover long-term care, like assisted living expenses, which, as many of you know, are typically quite high. So this is an issue because if your parents don't have a job, then those extra costs will go to either private insurers, your parents' estate, or really you, I guess. This also impacts folks that are waiting for kidneys and other organs. Most of these people, I think it's about 45% of these people, so not most, are enrolled in both programs. And if you're really sick and can't work and thus go lower income, then Medicaid is no longer going to be an option for you. Student loans. So basically there are now two payment plans, normal and then low income, but it's harder to get the low income payment plan. But the one that is a bummer for all my law school friends and others who chose a public service life like nursing or teaching where you don't get paid a lot, those student programs where you get the student loan forgiveness for serving in those jobs, those are all ending at a federal level. There are still state level ones, but the federal would be dead if this passes. And the very last one I want to point out is there are no more federal tax credits for electric vehicles. Again, there are state tax credit programs out there, but no more from the federal government. And there's a long list of things that we're going to buy with this bill, like the Golden Dome, which is a missile defense shield, border security, of course, and expanding our naval fleet and restocking our ammunition. So the estimated expense is that this bill, if passed, is projected to add about $3.3 trillion to the national deficit in the next decade. But I'm not even going to go there because I'm already way over my 5-minute time limit. And so that's it this week for RegAlytics. You can join me next week to learn more, but we have the global supply chain of all the world's regulatory alerts in one very easy to use place. And if you need a solution for anything related to regulation, give us a call.